Howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 328. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris. I can't even say my name. Chris, and with me is my good friend and co-host, and equally dashing. He said it'd be a bad hair day, but no, he's here to show me up. Jeff, the Riz Risden. How you doing, brother?
I'm very good. Great to be with you. Let's have a fun Friday afternoon. This is a great time to do this.
Yes, I am so glad it's the end of the week.
We got a Super Bowl weekend. This is the last weekend of football. I'm underwhelmingly stoked for the game Sunday, but I'm ready to talk some Lions.
As a guy in Tampa, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I bet it
for
is.
the local economy to have the whole team. Whatever, maybe not.
One of these years, I will have a rooting interest in a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
one
at
some point in my life. It's been a very, very, very long time.
Okay.
Actually, so the two teams that I root about most, never been. The third team, the team that everybody else in my house roots for, never been.
Yeah. You guys, I'm just going to tell you, if you pick another team in football, let me know. I want to stay away.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right, let's get right into this. I'm going to start off with a little bit of talk about a guy. You might have heard of the name. I'm not sure if you did. He's a guy that plays football, and he's been recently attached to the Lions. His name's Jared Goff. I don't know if you know, we got 2 firsts and a Jared Goff and a third this year for a Stafford. It sounds like you're trading like comic book cards or whatever, right? Cards or
vacuums.
So let's talk about that. I mean, we've covered the trade. We've talked about that, but there's a lot of conversation about the quality of Jared Goff as a quarterback, and a lot of people freaking out. Both sides. Some people are over the moon a little bit about him. Some people are really underwhelmed by him, and frankly,
you've had enough of that shit.
So we're here to tell you kind of where things really land. That's gonna be my favorite drop forever, right?
Thanks, Coach.
All right. First off, I think my question about Jared Goff, and for the people that hate Jared Goff, is of all the quarterbacks that were out there this year, Matthew Stafford said, I need to go. So you have to say, okay, he's not available, and you have to.
He was not coming back. Period.
Yep. He's off the table. So there you are. You've got Chase Daniel sitting there, and you can look at him and say, oh, there's Chase. Oh. Who is your quarterback going to be that you're going to get that is going to be better than Jared Goff? Okay, forget the trade, forget all the other pieces. Who is going to be better? And you know what? Nobody. But go ahead.
So let's look and see who else is out there. Okay, the Eagles right now are shopping Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Is Carson Wentz better than Jared Goff? He could be.
Not last year's.
He hasn't been the last couple of years, and he's got massive injury problems and a worse contract that lasts longer.
And look, Goff had a bad year last year for Jared Goff, and Wentz had a bad year. And if you compare them side by side, Goff's had a better year. I mean, he appears to be in a down year, a better quarterback even still.
Wentz had one of the worst years in Pro Football Focus's history last year.
Oof.
Think about that.
Did he play for the Lions defense?
He might as well have.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I would take Jared Goff over Carson Wentz in the role that the Lions are using their quarterback for. I don't think that Carson Wentz is the quarterback of the future for any franchise. No. I certainly wouldn't risk it more than I would risk a year flyer on Jared Goff. So he's out. Okay, let's look at Chicago, which is apparently trying to trade as we speak, working very diligently to get Carson Wentz out of Philadelphia. That means Mitchell Trubisky's ready. Is Mitchell Trubisky better than anyone? Probably not.
Yeah, Biscuit's going to land as a backup, right? I mean, that's theoretically what he's going to be this year.
I like the idea of him as a backup somewhere with something to prove, and he comes in and sort of the way that Marcus Mariota was last year for Las Vegas.
Yep.
A former starter, high draft pick, didn't really work out. Didn't see eye to eye with the coach that he had. He goes somewhere else and revives his career, and is trying to parlay that into a starting gig elsewhere. And so we'll stay with the Raiders for a second. Derek Carr is allegedly available.
Ooh.
Is he better than Goff? Maybe. He might be.
Maybe. Yeah, okay. He's hard to get along with.
He was in 2020. He absolutely was.
Yeah.
I thought Derek Carr played pretty well last year.
Yeah.
And a couple of his bad games, you have to look the game in Cleveland where they played in a monsoon that had steady 50-mile-an-hour winds and rain. Of course, no, he didn't throw the ball well. So based off 2020, yes, I would take Derek Carr. But over the bulk of their career, I give me Goff.
Right.
Not overwhelmingly, but I would take Goff over that. Because they obviously want to get Mariota, and that was not, by the way, an option. They did not inquire with the Lions, so that's out. The Bears did. Let's go to Denver. What was the offer from Denver again? So we've heard a lot of different variations of the offer, but what's the one that you've got?
I've got a top 10 pick in Drew Lock.
No. Top 10. So that's the number 9 pick this year. So you would have number 7 and number 9 in a draft that a lot of teams are desperate to get the hell out of because they haven't been able to scout the players. There's no combine. There's no pro days. Mm-hmm. A lot of the guys haven't played football in over a year. Some of them in a very, very long time. Some of them have been 18 months since they've put pads on. Mm-hmm. And you would front load your acquisitions for that and get Drew Lock, who would be a quality backup quarterback in Detroit. He's better than Chase Daniel, but if he's your starter, I mean, there's a reason why Denver has given up on him. And
then you're combining that pick from Denver and your number 7 pick to try to move up to get.
Absolutely, that's the move. Then you're taking Justin Fields or Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
And we still have no clue how the regime is figuring it out. So let's adjust that for a quick second. John Dorsey is notorious because he was advising Zach Wilson's dad. He was doing that as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles front office. He was a advisor for the Eagles. You cannot. I know it's convenient and it's easy to do to carry that over that he's going to bring that same attitude to the Lions. But he was working for the Philadelphia Eagles when he was convincing Zach Wilson to come out and to do what he was doing. I don't know if he's carrying that over to the Lions or not. He certainly has a very educated opinion on Zach Wilson. I think he will certainly make that heard. Knowing John Dorsey, he will make it heard.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that he necessarily likes him though.
Right.
So this is a guy. Remember, if you go back when he had the number 1 pick in Cleveland, everybody thought that he was going to take Sam Darnold until literally the day before the draft, because he had blown so much smoke up Darnold's ass and had been out to USC and talked to all the people there. And it came out later that Darnold wasn't even his second guy. He wanted Baker Mayfield or Josh Allen.
Yep.
With Darnold a third. So trying to predict what John Dorsey is thinking because of what he did in the past, I know it's convenient. I know it's easy to connect those dots. Don't do it because you could be wrong.
Yeah, and very well likely may. I mean, and that's part of what you have to do at that level, right? That's part of what you're doing is to keep the smoke screen up so people don't know what you're. You talked
about the canary trap, and I told you John Dorsey is the master of the canary trap. So be cautious before you read too much into the Zach Wilson and John Dorsey connections. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, but it also doesn't mean that it does.
Right. Now let me ask you. There's a question about Alex Smith from Levi in the chat. What do you think about Alex Smith?
I think he's 37. 36. He's the same draft class as Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
He's had the most gruesome leg injury that anybody's ever returned from. If you're getting a 1-year rental, fine, but he is not going to be on. He will not be in the NFL in 2 more years. That's just where he's at. So I don't see any point in wasting time on that. I would much rather see if you've got something with Goff, who's 25, 26, has a manageable contract. Especially after the initial swallowing here. So, I'd go with that.
What's going on? Okay. Things are starting to sound better already. The thing with Goff, and we talked about this a little bit, is the idea that you have options. You absolutely have options with Jared Goff. He had a bad year last year. There's a lot of talk about McVay and his ego in the scheme of things and how he treated him.
Well, look, he said what did he say? Lay the pipe to his girlfriend.
We'll get there.
I mean that certainly calls for friction, is it not?
Oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely. But think about, like, one of the things about Goff, and I've seen this a couple of times, is there's a confidence issue going on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Last year was something that beat him with confidence. Where else have we heard people talk about confidence that we'll go into later in this show? Yeah. What an opportunity to take a whole group of people who need much the same type of therapy, bring them together as a group, as a team, and try to grow them and blow them up. Really, really good idea. Really, really good idea, I think. I did a thing about salary cap. I'm not even going to talk about the salary cap hit. If you guys,
I watched it, by the way. It was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It was very well done. I loved the way that you shot down the fact that the salary cap is restrictive in what you can do. There are ways.
Yeah, written by Ash Thompson. I have to give him credit. Performed by me. We had a little tech issue on his piece that he put in, and then I just re-recorded it because I didn't have case last night, so it worked out that way. But he gets all the credit. He is absolutely our capologist and brains behind everything cap wise. But no, it was absolutely fabulous. I really, really like what he did. I think that's something that people can refer to over time. If you want to know what dead cap is and why it's not necessarily bad, depending on where you are in your rebuild process. If you want to look at carryover cap, if you want to learn about the cap and basically how it works, it's all kind of contained in there. It's just situational around the Goff and Stafford thing. So you can see that. It's great. It's on the YouTube channel.
Please check it out. It's very good. Well done.
Thank you, Riz. So we're not going to talk about that, but those options you get with Goff, you can dump him, right? You can dump him in 2 years for nothing, just about.
Correct.
And with what we have with the guys that we can drop this year, you're talking about lots of availability to spend in the next 2 years. So right now, if you're looking at putting your team together, you're Brad Holmes, and you know the cap situation as you do. You have Jared Goff. You want to check him out because he's only 26. If he works, he's the quarterback of your future. He's taken a team to the Super Bowl. He's won playoff games. And let's not, and this is, I got to say this the right way because I don't want people to take it wrong, but let's not pretend that Matthew Stafford didn't have his own kind of warts, right? I mean, there's,
and that's something that we can go further into, but you're absolutely right there. There are a lot of people who have lionized in the more general term, not the lionized that we know as a negative. But the more colloquial use of the term have done that to Matthew Stafford. And while it's great, he was great. You're not going to hear any argument from either of us that he wasn't a good quarterback. Look, he did have some flaws. He still has some flaws. It is not a sure bet that it's going to work for Los Angeles either.
But he is a better fit for their offense, I think. The only thing is those poor guys' fingers, the mangling that's going to happen to them with the short dink and dunk offense that they have. Those guys are going to be a mess because the one thing he doesn't have is a great touch pass.
He doesn't. And the other thing, the basis of their offense is to hit receivers on the dead run. That's not where he's at his best. Doesn't mean he can't do it, but he's been better at throwing a back shoulder throw or uncorking it off of play action deep down the field. The McVay offense typically has you do play action, and then you survey your shorter options, and you read the field short to deep rather than deep to short. Stafford's a deep to short guy, so it's gonna take some adjustment on his part. It's gonna take some adjustment on McVay's part to play to his strengths. Those are both smart, good guys at what they do, so I have a feeling that they will work it out, but it's not a given that it's going to work there.
Yeah. Just really quick in the chat, Kevin Finley, I was watching you guys on the can. No, the camera hasn't moved. We've been here the whole time. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Thanks for your advice, Kevin, by the way. Thanks, buddy. Had a home improvement issue that I ran.
Cut the joists. It's always step one. Cut the joists. If you
always cut the joists.
Patreon Slack, well, you'll learn all about cutting joists. So we didn't have capital to get a quarterback this year. We had 5 draft picks, right? Now we have 6 and a quarterback that's serviceable and gives us options and doesn't break the bank like people are crying about. We're okay there. So we're in a position where we absolutely need wide receivers. Maybe through free agency, maybe through the draft, maybe through both. Because I think you've said this. I know I have. I'm not super excited by any of the defensive players at 7, and none of them really jump out at me as a real win. We can get a couple receivers into this system, and we can see what Jared Goff is this year, right? We know there's a lot of work to be done on the defense. We understand that, and we'll spend a lot of picks on the defense. But I think pretty quickly, because of the state of our offensive line, we can know exactly what we have in Jared Goff by the end of next season. Do you agree?
He is coming to an offensive line that's better than any he had in Los Angeles.
Yeah, absolutely.
That doesn't mean that the Lions have the best offensive line in the league, but look at what the Rams had. They had a good, not great line. They had good tackles. When Rob Havenstein was healthy, he played very well. When Andrew Whitworth was healthy, he played very well. They're middle of the line. They have gotten by with largely anonymous dudes, and they've been fine. But the Lions are better than that, especially if Big V can show anything in his second year. So hopefully he can, because he's healthy and because he's got another year under his belt with Hank Fraley coaching him, and there's going to be a defined position for him. He thought he was going to be the right tackle. He wasn't better than Tyrell Crosby from day one.
Right.
So they tried to move him to guard. He wasn't good there. So there's reason to like what Goff is walking into. And absolutely.
So you start thinking about like some of the sacks and the ball losses he's had. A lot of that can be attributed to the fact that he had more pressure than he will in Detroit. So you've got that going for you. You start thinking about getting those wide receivers, and you can start putting in free agency some of those pieces in place, because a rebuild, let's be honest, by the end of year 2 and year 3, you're going to know if this is working. You're going to know if your rebuild is working or not, or if you're on the wrong path. And we evaluate a quarterback right now. We get some pieces in place. By the end of this coming season, we know what we have in our quarterback, and we also have, if we don't have what we need in the quarterback, a full slew of draft picks and capital to move up to get the guy that we want as a quarterback. What an amazing place to be, to jump this year at the quarterbacks. Frankly, I'm not super excited by what's available this year as far as quarterbacks. Not that they're bad, but part of what diminishes my excitement of the guys available at the position is, number one, it's such a crapshoot, it seems like, for everybody to get a quarterback. And number two, as you mentioned earlier, some guys, 18 months of not playing, only a few games that they've played, lower level competition, no combine. You only have pro days, which are BS as far as getting in data. What a terrible way, or a terrible year to roll the dice on your GM, your coach, and your franchise to try to bring that out. This seems like much, much better path that you can recover from your quarterback in a year and get the guy that you want. That's kind of where my head's at.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that at all. And remember, there will be veteran quarterbacks next year that other teams are giving up on at that time. The stigma of giving up on your quarterback too early is gone. That doesn't exist anymore. Look, the Dolphins have been trying quietly to get rid of Tua already.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, the Texans are shopping Deshaun. Well, they're not shopping. They should be shopping Deshaun Watson. They're not. He's one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the game under 30 years old.
Yep. Yeah.
The fact that you can find those guys that are available, it's going to become it's the league is trending more that way. It is becoming more like the NBA, where you can make a trade for James Harden. You can get Kevin Durant if you really want to. You can trade for LeBron if you really want to. Nothing is off the table anymore. I think the NBA or the NFL is definitely trending in that NBA direction. And that's very good for a team that has 2 first-round picks in each of the next 2 years after this year, and also might have some marketable assets that they're selling off to a team. Let's say another year of Trey Flowers, and he's the same Trey Flowers that he was last year, but healthy all year.
Yeah,
team's going to give a 3rd-round pick for that, or you're going to get a 3rd-round compensatory pick for that. That's that again. You stress the word options, and that's so important.
And if you think about
the Lions have so many options this year too with it.
You should be getting starters for sure out of your first 3 rounds of the draft. You should be, right? If you're doing well, you should be getting starters out of the first 3 rounds of the draft. We turned into 5 picks overall to now having 4 picks in the first 3 rounds and having a quarterback position filled when we didn't have a quarterback. Right. That's where we started.
You do not have to fill the quarterback. As you know, I absolutely believe that Jared Goff is starting all 16 games this year. Until it's proven otherwise, he is the starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions, and he will be given every chance to prove that he can be that long term.
Yep.
But I think that John Dorsey's influence and also Ray Agnew coming in, because he was a little bit skeptical on Goff getting the contract. If you dig back into the Rams pantheon when they signed Goff, it wasn't a unanimous decision to give him that contract.
Yeah.
And there is some word that Agnew was one of the voices of dissent against giving him what $134 million over 4 years. Okay. So I think they're smart enough, having come from where they are, to realize that maybe they do need options, and maybe it needs to be better than John Wolford as your backup option.
Yeah.
Nothing against Wolford, who I kind of think he might be good. in some time.
Yep.
He's certainly a good enough backup to play for Matthew Stafford. He's better than Chase Daniel.
Yeah.
They're going to find ways to bring in something that can work.
And I want to go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead and finish your thought because I'm done with mine.
Okay. Oh, thanks. Sorry. I just the thing that I think where people shortchange Goff is they say that he was surrounded by a team that made him great. Well, to be fair, he didn't have an offensive line. Really, he did have a good running game, but I think we'll be okay in that space with Swift in the room we've got right now. I'm not sure that he had the super spectacular wide receivers that people. I mean, they're better than what we've got. I'll tell you that. But you still have to get the ball to those wide receivers. Look at Trubisky, right? Why is he's having trouble? It's not because the receivers are carrying him. They should be able to carry him, right? Allen Robinson should be able to carry Mitchell Trubisky if we're going to be talking about this. He's in an offense where, as you said, he's got to hit guys on the run, and they've been successful enough to win playoff games, get to the Super Bowl, all that kind of stuff with the people. It doesn't happen if the quarterback doesn't get the ball there. Okay, so exactly. I just want to say that just with that kind of thinking, and the reason he got that giant contract was he came off a hell of a year. He came off of a really, really good year playing quarterback, and that means he got the ball to those guys to catch it. Period. No,
he did. He was very good in the capacity that they were. That his usage changed. And this is something that I talked with my Ramswire counterpart Cam DeSilva, and I had a conversation with this. I wrote some of it. Some of it was filed away for future information on my part. But he stressed to me that their offense did change because their weaponry changed. He didn't have a healthy Todd Gurley anymore. Todd Gurley has no knees left. By the way, you do not want him in Detroit. He's gotten he and Mark Ingram both. There's been a clamoring for both those guys. I don't want either of those anywhere near. I would much rather have Adrian Peterson back than either of those guys.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
They got rid of Sammy Watkins. They got rid of somebody else, and his name's escaping me now. But they lost their true vertical threats in that offense, and he wound up having guys that were a little more limited athletically, where he had to hit, or it became a much more timing and rhythm based offense rather than taking more shots. They were much more likely to do an 11-play 70-yard drive than an 8-play 70-yard drive.
Right.
That's sort of what they morphed into.
And
he did okay. Look, his terrible year, the year they missed the playoffs, they still went 9-7 with Jared Goff as their quarterback. Now his line was better that year. 2020, he had the worst line that he's ever played behind. No real running game. No stable running game, I should say. They went to the playoffs. They won a playoff game last year.
That's right. He won a playoff game with a broken thumb, and I do want to go
to the same thumb that Stafford had.
Yep.
Almost identical injuries.
Yep. And I want to say that, as you know, the rhythm method that you were talking about is not nearly as effective. We've learned that growing up, that the rhythm method is not the way to go. So, all right. Really quick, we have some breaking news.
Drink to that.
DraftKings is live in Michigan with mobile sports betting. Yes, that DraftKings has finished crossing their T's and dotting their I's, meaning you can place a bet right now from anywhere in Michigan. For a limited time, the DraftKings Sportsbook app is offering all players a chance to double their money if the Pistons hit a 3. Yes, you heard that right. All it takes for you to double your money is opting into the promotion and placing your wager, and sit back and watch the threes rain down. This isn't some offshore operation like the other gambling sites. No, sir. DraftKings is a legitimate sportsbook based right here in the United States, so you can be confident that your funds are absolutely secure. With the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you can bet from wherever, whenever. You don't even have to leave your house. And I have got to get to Michigan because the app and betting is not available in Florida, and it's driving me bazonkers, man. It's driving me nuts. I'm sitting here looking at it. I can use it. I can use the app, and I can see the numbers and everything else, and it's like I got to call my dad. Dad, can you do something for? Hey, Dad, get the app open. Dad. This is no fun. I got to get back. I got to figure out a way. I got to get.
I've met your dad too. I'm sure he's not all that keen on helping you out on that.
No. He's the game's over, Dad. Don't worry. Never mind. All right, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code DLP when you sign up. For a limited time, all users can double their money if the Pistons hit a 3-pointer. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is doubling your money if the Pistons hit just one three-pointer. Don't forget, enter code DLP only on the DraftKings Sportsbook app.
Excellent. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline at 800-277-7117. 21 and over, Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full terms and conditions, subject to regulatory licensing requirements.
Oh my God, you sir, are going to get your legal. You're going to be not disbarred. You're going to be embarred. I don't know what they call it.
I'll pass a bar.
Yeah, there you go.
not passing a bar today. We're drinking. What are we drinking today? We're drinking Ludington Bay. Some barrel aged ale that's pretty good.
I don't want to hear about anything you pass. All right, really quick. Sorry, I'm always in the bad place. I want to go into a Jared Goff scouting report, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, and then we'll figure out.
Don't read mine from Real GM circa 2016 because you're not going to like it. So, as a full disclaimer, he was my QB4 that year. I had grave concerns about his arm strength and his ability to handle pressure.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
But I loved Paxton Lynch, so
yeah,
it tells you what I know.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave quarterback hair out of it. That's not a win statistic. Quarterback hair is as good as quarterback team wins. All right. There's 3 positives and 3 negatives. This is a Rams fan with an honest scouting report on Jared Goff posted in the Reddit by Bad Monkey, and I really, really like this. Sorry, Luke P in the chat. I know they wrote that for us. I didn't. Yep. All right, really quick. Here we go. Leadership and team relations. Jared Goff is the anti-diva QB. If anything, he's too humble, self-effacing. Okay,
1000% true.
Yeah, puts the work in the film room and in the off season. I mean, and around town, one of the most generous guys. Quiet, unassuming, just does his thing and leads by example. I mean, just a really, really good dude. You get a lot of kind of surfer dude out of him, like when you see him, you know what I mean? But he's smarter than surfer dude. I really believe that and see that just the way he leads the team and carries himself. He just doesn't necessarily come off as he definitely comes off as a guy from California.
Yes, he does. He's from California, and he is aware now that the sun does in fact rise in the east.
Yes, that was it. That was the one from Hard Knocks. Thank you. I couldn't remember. I didn't go back yet. Poise is the second thing they talk about with Goff. They call him California cool. We'll get off the California thing here real quick. And he can appear aloof at times, but having a short memory is a good thing, right? And let's be real, absolutely. He's even-keeled, even when pressure comes in. He doesn't get bent out of shape. I mean, this whole trade thing, and with McVay, if you saw the article from Sam Farmer, who is one of my favorite writers.
Sam Farmer's a great guy.
Second only to Jeff Risdon. But he is so good. Did a great thing on it. And if you read it, and you absolutely should. He's with the LA Times. You'll find him over there. You listen to Jared Goff, I can't imagine thinking, speaking anything like he did at 26 years old, much less with what just happened. I just can't imagine being that mature and even keeled. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Think about you've led a team to the Super Bowl in the last 3 seasons. You just won a playoff game over a division rival where you actually played pretty well in that game.
Yep.
And your team's giving up on you. I mean, that's a blow, man. Think about that as I know these guys get paid a lot, but there is ego. And one of the reasons why you're in the NFL is because you have a certain level of ego and gravitas and personal belief in yourself.
Yeah.
And that just got shattered. And if you read the Farmer thing, I think you'll come across that. I think he sees it as an opportunity for himself more than feeling sorry for himself.
Yep.
And I think that's probably the right way to go for him.
The idea that he says he's going to a place where he's wanted, right? And you think about what's happened with McVay and him in the gap, and we'll talk about some of the comments that came out that he said that maybe kind of that kind of led to that. But I gotta tell you, this is a guy who is just perfectly tuned for this coaching staff, this front office, and the evolution that the players on this team have to go through after the Patricia experiment and collapse that the team underwent. There's a rebuilding not just of the players and the roster of the team, but of the confidence of the people that are playing for this team. And Jared Goff is a guy that, with the poise and the leadership skills that we're talking about, can help be a part of that resurgence and lead that group through that process. Don't you agree?
I absolutely agree. And the most congruent situation or parallel situation is what Ryan Tannehill did after he left Miami. And he went to Tennessee to sort of reclaim his career. And look what happened there. They're in the playoffs every year.
Yep.
He got Marcus Mariota, who's the number 2, number 3 overall pick in the draft, out of town. I'm not saying that's going to happen for Goff. I think Ryan Tannehill is more physically talented than Jared Goff. But don't rule out the fact that Jared Goff could play well in Detroit. Could play make the Pro Bowler from 2017 to 2018 come back.
Yep.
But he has made 2 Pro Bowls since the last time Matthew Stafford made 1. Now the Pro Bowl, I crap on the Pro Bowl all the time. That's not a good way to measure things.
You've had enough of that shit.
That tells you where the respect around the league is, though, because the league largely chooses that. They saw enough, the players, the other coaches, they thought he was performing better than Matthew Stafford. Now, obviously, wins have a lot to do with that, and it's crap. But everybody that's piling on and saying that Jared Goff has no talent, you're wrong. Is he as good as Matthew Stafford? Hell no. No, he's not. No. He's not.
But we go back to the first question we asked in the show. Who are you going to get this better? Matthew Stafford was gone. There's no question he was gone. He said he wanted to trade. He was gone. He was not going to play for the Lions again. So with that being the case, who's better? Right now, who's better? There's nobody. You did the best you could. You did the very best you could in the NFL. You're not getting Deshaun Watson, right?
No.
With everything going on with the Texans, and even if you could, like, if you had a shot at him in April or May, that screws with your whole draft and everything else. There's no better play. And you want
to use those 5 draft picks on Deshaun Watson, because that's what it's going to take to get him out of there.
Yeah.
I'm actually tempted, but no.
No. So I want to get to the last thing that they talked about: arm talent. And I don't know why McVay wouldn't let Goff throw downfield last season. It's either him missing the reads or McVay not calling for the throws. Lack of downfield separation. And if he's used to lack of separation, he's come to the right place. But they say he's got some good knack for medium and short range routes. And let's face it, he's hit those players on the run in the McVay defense. He's also got good touch. That's something, again, that Matthew Stafford absolutely lacked. This is going to be different. The ball is not going to be whistling every time it sails, when the ball's thrown, and that's a good thing. That's going to help save your receivers. That's going to help your running backs be better at catching the ball. I've talked a little bit about, over the years, about how Matthew Stafford throws the ball.
I was just going to say that when I first joined this podcast, one of the topics was, and I remember this because I'm like, oh, do I really want to get involved with this? Was
not crazy anymore, am I?
y'all had the hypothesis that Matthew Stafford was the drop problem in Detroit, that he couldn't throw a catchable ball, right. And I kind of bristled against that because come on, come on. Yeah. But I will just say it's probably not coincidental that the Lions have been near the worst in catch drop rate over the course of Matthew Stafford's career.
And he's not the sole issue, right? Why not both?
No, it is not on him.
Well, there's many more things.
Remember, with Calvin Johnson led the NFL in drops for the decade 2 years after he retired.
Yeah.
The cost of doing business with greatness. He had his flaws too.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I want to make sure, because folks have joined it later, absolutely love Matthew Stafford and state openly that he's a better quarterback than Jared Goff is.
No question.
But he did have his issues, and there's things where we could have possibly done better with a different type of ball delivered to the receiver or a different kind of strategy from the line of scrimmage or whatever. Jared Goff is absolutely serviceable, is absolutely an NFL quarterback, and is absolutely the best thing we could have gotten this year. And then you throw the 3rd round pick and the upcoming 1st round picks in it. If he's a bridge, it's a hell of a bridge, because it got you to the number 1 overall pick next year or the year after if you need it.
If you need to, you have the ability. Look, as you stated in what Ash wrote in the video that you alluded to earlier. This is not a playoff team in 2021. This is very likely a team that's going to earn a top 5, certainly top 10 pick on its own volition. If you have that pick, the Rams pick, which let's call it 22, and a 1st round pick the following year, That's going to get you to number one if you need to get there.
Yep.
If you want to get there,
Yep.
that will get you there. The number one has gone for less than that in the past.
Yep.
So if you really want that, that's where you're at.
And let's face it, I mean, from a business perspective, we went through a whole season with no players or no fans in the stands, and that costs the Ford family money, concessions, the whole thing. They need fans in stands, and after this last season, you have a lot of skeptical fans. At the end of this last season, before we had a new coach and everything else, there was a lot of negativity around it. The Holmes hire, the Campbell hire, the staff that they've gotten, bringing Hank Fraley back, for example, has really, really elevated the thinking around this team. Jared Goff coming in is helping. You go with Chase Daniel or one of the other quarterbacks that's out there, and you're fielding a garbage team. We were at the Dallas game the year before last, and when there was more Dallas fans at Ford Field than there were Lions fans, you don't want that. You will absolutely murder the franchise. You will be Jaguar tier at that point for a long,
you don't want to go full Jaguar.
Time. No. Bringing in Goff as a bridge and getting yourself set up. If he's great, then great. You've got something for the long term. If he's not, you're absolutely set up to make the move next year or the year after if you have to, and not destroy your position in the draft. This is a great move. This is absolutely a great move from a business perspective, from a roster perspective, as far as getting with what you have as capital this year and getting the players you need this year, and then on the go forward for the draft perspective as well, and then in the locker room. I think this is across the board, checks all the boxes.
You're trying to retool the organization. I think one of the things that they've done is they've made a conscious decision to change course, and parting with Matthew Stafford is part of that, but also part of it is acknowledging that what you were doing with Stafford wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
Yes, we all love Matthew Stafford, but did it ever result in wins? Now, are we blaming Matthew Stafford for the losses? Hell no. But was he ever good enough to overcome a flawed team to lead them to where you want to be? He wasn't. He hasn't been.
Yeah.
That's a plain fact. It's disappointing, and it's certainly not all on Matthew Stafford, but it wasn't going to happen in Detroit.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get past that.
And
is it going to happen for Jared Goff in Detroit? I kind of doubt it, honestly. I don't think he'll be the quarterback after 2021, but he's earned the right to at least try.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a guy without some ability that you're throwing out. This is not turning the keys of the franchise over to Mitchell Trubisky or who else sucks at quarterback.
Marcus Mariota. The thing is we turned in
Matt Flynn.
Yeah. Oh God. You have to watch that, by the way.
So I put it down that will be coming in lieu of the combine this year.
Yep.
Because I'm normally in Indianapolis. I'll have a little bit more free time.
Nice.
I will watch that, and I will. I've actually found the game. I didn't download it because my computer sucks, but I don't have that kind of memory. But I have access to it. And I will watch it, and I will take shots of myself reacting to it and write about it.
Awesome.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So we took a quarterback that we don't have anymore because he said he wanted out, but we'll just we took that, turned it into 2 first-round picks and a guy that wants to play here who's not bad. That's a heck of a deal, right? I mean, that's and a third-rounder this year. I mean, that's a heck of a deal. So we'll get through this. We'll go through. There's 3 things he can improve on, and I didn't want to make the scouting report all positive, so we're going to hit the 3 negatives. The first one they have is football IQ, and there's questions in the conversation about why the offense got so conservative in the last year in the Rams with Goff, and it's a great question. It's an absolutely great question because. Is it McVay? Is it Goff? Where is that? Goff seems, the Goff is too dumb meme is out there right now. We don't know how real it is. Maybe there's a better offense that fits him. Replacing Stafford's flaws with Goff's flaws may be a net positive for this team. You don't know, really, right? I mean, that's the different kind of flaws may actually work out that he's a better quarterback in Detroit.
It's kind of a weird way to look at it. But,
and Stafford better in L.A.
Go to the Tannehill thing in Tennessee. He was different than Mariota. It wound up being better for the guys around him, and it allowed them. A.J. Brown, we'll use him as an example as a receiver, was not a guy that Marcus Mariota was going to have a great career with. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league right now, in part because of his fit with what Tannehill does well. Now, would A.J. Brown work with Jared Goff as well? He would be better with Matthew Stafford than he would with Jared Goff. So you're going to have to rekey what type of receiver you're looking for as well. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. When you've got a blank slate, you've got Quintez Cephas and in theory, Geronimo Allison as your wide receivers coming back. You've got a chance to reshuffle your deck, man. Yeah. You had a lot of guys that were really good at catching contested passes, at working back to the quarterback.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be back momentarily. I am certain we'll catch Jeff. We lost him. We'll see how that goes. Looks like the connection on the YouTube side is good. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to talk about the next one. The next item up for grabs on things he can improve is ball security. He's been hit with a lot of strip sacks. I see Jeff coming back. Okay, Jeff, sorry, we lost you. Oh, we lost you again. All right, we'll see you in a second. Is it his mechanics, his pocket presence, or small hands? Could be all of those things. Welcome back, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yep. And we're talking about ball security as the second weakness for Jared Goff. Now, we can talk about...
He does have small hands, and he had problems anticipating when he was going to get hit as a quarterback. He doesn't feel that pressure well.
Yep. And that was the number 3 one, pocket presence. He doesn't have that. Redundant maybe with the ball security piece, but one of the things that's going to help him in both of those pieces is the offensive line he has this year with the Hank Fraley led and also known as Frank Haley when he's got his glasses on around town, but Hank Fraley led offensive line. Amazing work from this line, from these guys. We saw the work that he's done with them. We've seen him. We saw him at Senior Bowl. You guys know how much we love Hank Fraley. Yeah. This is going to put Jared Goff in a position behind a line that he's not used to, and very well could see him excel.
In Ragnow, Jonah Jackson, and Taylor Decker, they have one of the 3 best center, left guard, left tackles in the league. Yeah. Absolutely. In 2021, they do.
Yeah.
Right side, Tyrell Crosby is functional. He's perfectly average right tackle. Yeah. I think we'd agree that he's probably a little bit of an upgrade from Rick Wagner.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Not a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's more consistent. Does have he does struggle with guys who can speed, who can two-way go on him, who doesn't. And right guard's a hole. I mean, but if you've got 4/5 of a starting offensive line, you're better than 90% of the league.
That's right. And it's not a screaming bukkake hole, right? It's just a hole. It's something that they can fix. All right. Yes. Sorry. I don't know why that came out, but it did.
You never know when that's going to come out. That's part of the fun of it.
You know, one of these days they're going to go to meatspin.com and get people. There's people going right now. That's old school internet, folks. That's old school.
That is. How many spins do you last through?
Now I know you visit too often, Riz.
That was the thing on the Real GM message board circa 2007. Back in the day. Shout out to my guy Stud for hitting me with that.
Michael has a question. I'll get it, even though I didn't super chat it. When is Kenny's contract up? Right now.
He is a free agent, and I do not expect him back. And they are absolutely not going to franchise tag him.
Yep. He wants too much money.
I will say that I will eat something that I really don't like. I'll eat blueberry. I freaking hate blueberries. I will eat a little, what is a little pint tin things of the blueberries that they sell. Yeah. If they franchise tag Kenny Golladay, he will not be back. He is not a Jared Goff receiver. He is a Matthew Stafford receiver.
Yep.
That's what I was talking about when my internet cut out. The fact that you can retool your receiving room to fit Goff better or to fit your quarterback of the future better. Let's say it's Justin Fields if they go for one this year. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields is not a guy who's going to throw balls to Kenny Golladay because he's covered. That's not what he does.
Yep.
That's not what a lot of quarterbacks do. If you're looking at Sam Howell out of North Carolina, who I think is a very attractive prospect. And by the way, so I'll quickly promote another podcast here. I did the Browns Wire podcast with my guy Josh Keatley and Donovan James the other night. We wound up having a really long conversation about the 2022 quarterback class.
That's the one to look
where
at.
I deferred to Don, who knows that stuff inside out. And he actually knows Keegan Slovis quite a bit. So we had a good conversation on it. So check it out on the Browns Wire podcast. It's a good place to go anyways, but they wound up having a lot of gambling and college football interest in that. But we wound up talking a lot about that, and I was enamored with what we talked about Sam Howell, aside from his weird dietary habits. The dude eats boiled chicken and spinach. That's it. That's like all he eats. So that's a little bit of a flag there. But,
so I'll tell you what, the one thing...
He's the kind of quarterback who also will not throw the ball to a guy who's covered. Kenny Golladay is the most covered wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
You look at it in one... It's all about the phrasing and the framing. He gets the fewest separations. The other way to spin that, he is the most easy to cover wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, third from the bottom on advanced stats on separation. Last time I looked, I didn't look after the last couple games, but he didn't play those, did he? Because that's the other thing. He's off.
He played 5. He actually had a worse year statistically than Quintez Cephas did.
Yeah,
Cephas had a better yards per catch reception, better catch rate, lower drop rate, better separation rate, and a higher touchdown rate. Now, he did it in a lot more games, to be fair.
Right.
But they're not paying $20 million for Kenny Golladay. They are not. Galladay turned down over $16 million a year. I know that for a fact.
Spend 20.
He ain't getting that from Detroit again.
Spend 20 on Robinson. So and you have a way better receiver, a far better receiver. Why spend it on Golladay?
If you don't think that Allen Robinson is a better wide receiver than Kenny Golladay, take your freaking glasses off.
Yeah. Well, and the thing, he makes spectacular catches because he's covered, and they have to be spectacular when he makes them. That's the Kenny Golladay story in very, very short form.
He also has, and I highlighted this when I did my rewatch project for the summer. He's an apathetic at best blocker. And that is not going to fly for Dan Campbell. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, and I'll tell you something from inside the organization, and this journalism thing is easy. There's a lot of people that think that KG gave up on the team. There's a lot of people that think he gave up on the team this year. And, that's one thing you can't do as a player, no matter how bad it gets. You go out and you try to win.
Dan Campbell, you do that to Anthony Lynn? Hell no.
No, that's absolutely right.
No.
So, you talk about eating boiled chicken and spinach, I think, or cabbage, whatever it was.
Yeah.
As an issue, a character issue, giving up on the team is a lot bigger than that. So but you know what he could have done for those injuries? If Kenny G would have gone to cbd.detroitlions.podcast.com, get himself some of them, some of the best edibles out there. There is some really, really good stuff at cbd.detroitlions.podcast.com. There's 2 kinds. There's the kind that will help you with pain, anxiety, and insomnia. 3 maladies that Lions fans are very, very familiar with. They will help you with those things. They will not trigger drug tests. You won't feel it. You can go work. You can drive your semi for work or do whatever else, operate heavy machinery. The whole thing, the regular CBD is rocking and rolling, easy, good stuff. And then there's the other stuff. This is the chill line of the CBD products. This stuff does all those things, but you don't operate heavy machinery. This stuff, when it has a warning label on the top, the other stuff doesn't quite have that same warning. I
don't even want to use my snowblower with that.
These gummies are the bomb. They're a great Saturday night time. Eat one the first time. Don't eat more. I've got 7, 8 stories of people who got these and ate one and waited 30 minutes and said, I don't feel anything, and ate another one and then lost a couple hours.
Greg.
The first time, just do one. These things are great. Live and die by them. They have creams that are great. If you go at checkout at cbd.detroitlions.podcast.com, you get 55% off with keyword Lions. Lions. Yeah, I see Brandon in there saying he loves that chill stuff. Yeah, for sure. It's good. It's good. And it won't trigger tests. It won't trigger the bad test, so you can keep working. Lions, coupon code 55% off. And last I checked, I'm not sure if this is still good. Try Save 70 at checkout. That's 70% off all the edibles on top of your 55% for the Lions. cbd.detroitlions.podcast.com. They are great sponsors. Check it out. You guys will love it. It's like I said, there's times for when you want to just kind of feel it and kind of feel good, and it's like a super indica, sit in your seat and kind of melt into the couch sort of thing. And there's times when you got to work and you just need to go to bed or whatever, and you just want to get rid of what's ailing you. That's the way to go. cbd.detroitlions.podcast.com. All right. We got our bad monkey. I got that. I want to talk about another bad monkey, Teddy Bruschi.
Oh my God, what a dolt. Holy crap, what a bad take.
This guy comes up with Stafford is not tough enough for New England after Coach Patricia wasn't tough enough for Detroit, got run out of town, and Bob Quinn. That was posted in the Reddit by Not Barry Sanders. I mean, he's just trying to save face, right? He's just trying to save face and be devoted to his organization.
Loyal soldier to Bill Belichick. The preface to this is that Matthew Stafford said he would not accept a trade to New England. Please don't trade me there. I don't want anything to do with the Patriot way ever again. That was clearly directed at Matt Patricia and not Bill Belichick. Although if you look at their weapons, it's easy to understand why. That's an expansion level offense right now. Yep. They really are.
Yep.
That team is awful on offense. They are well behind the Lions.
When he said that, Coach Campbell responded with,
"We've had enough of that shit."
So they didn't trade him over there. They said, "No, you're not going to New England. It's not going to happen." So they worked out a different kind of deal. But absolutely, Brewski. I mean, look, here's the deal. Okay, I know that they had guys hold out in New England, so there's a story still yet to be told there about the coach without Tom Brady. But it's always been Brady's a system quarterback, or maybe it's both of them, or maybe it's Belichick. Tom Brady is the first
Brady's looking
quarterback.
Pretty good right now, isn't he still playing, Chris?
The first quarterback to play in a Holmes game Super Bowl. Going to be pretty interesting, right? Whatever system it is, maybe he is the system or whatever. Tom Brady looks to be a great quarterback in his own right. So we'll take that. The Belichick thing, the Belichick thing has yet to be answered. So I think he's going to be a great coach, right? I think he's going to be a great coach. But
I will not spite Bill Belichick. I saw him take a Cleveland team back in 1994 to a division title after parting with. So one of the reasons why Cleveland hates, we'll go in a little diversion here.
Yeah, I'm all about
story time with Riz. Browns fans hated Bill Belichick from the beginning because he didn't like Bernie Kosar. Bernie Kosar is a Cleveland guy. He was wildly popular. He was the number 19 in Cleveland, that the number 19 is as Iserman in Detroit.
Right.
They're absolutely on the same level. Now, I'm not saying that Bernie Kosar was as good as Steve Iserman, but in the eyes of Cleveland, yes, he was. And Belichick ran him off. He said that he had, quote, diminishing skills, and that Bernie Kosar still had that as his tag on Twitter for a very long time, and is still very upset about that. They brought in Vinny Testaverde of all people,
Superman,
and they went 11-5 and won a playoff game against the Patriots, by the way, that year. That is legend in Cleveland. Don't tell me he can't coach.
There you go.
Now, did he do a good coaching job this year? No, he didn't. But again, look at the Patriots roster that played weeks 10 through 17 this year. That's an expansion team.
Look at the roster that held out. That's a playoff caliber roster.
That's a pretty good team. Yeah, Dante Hightower, Marcus Cannon, Patrick Chung, like 4 other guys back to it.
Yeah.
That's so much better. They're going to be better next year.
Yeah.
Doubt them at your will, at your peril.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I want to get into the next thing here. We're doing all right in time. Campbell, here's what I do know. Every player on this roster is going to be better than they were last year. I knew that with everything in my heart because of the staff I brought in. That was posted in the Reddit by Attorney at Lion. This. I mean, it talks a little bit to what we were saying with Goff about the confidence thing. We heard him talking about Okudah and the confidence thing, and watching tape. And look, I don't know if anyone told him. If it was Tavai he's watching, that's why they were looking so slow. But he was saying that about the defense. Why are they playing so tentative and so slow? Why? Well, because of the system, because of the coaching, because of the staff that forced them and had this culture of almost fear, right, around the players to do things that they weren't good at and in a way that wasn't effective. And then they would blame the players when it didn't work. Think about yourself, okay? And this it's called gaslighting for those that don't know about this kind of thing. But you're a player who's been successful your whole life, and you're told, do this in this scheme worked. We've won millions of Super Bowls in New England doing it. Oh, okay. And then you go out and do it to the very, very best of your ability, and you're told you're an idiot by the expert in that system that won all those Super Bowls. At some point, it's understandable that you might start to question yourself and wonder, am I not as good as I thought?
Me?
Yeah.
Do I suck?
Right. And I have a feeling after 3 years of that, you wind up in a tough spot. And Okudah, boy, what a tough first year to have a staff like this on him. So let me the one thing, and I'll give it to you, Riz. The biggest thing they've got going for him, and I think he's right in his diagnosis. I think Campbell's exactly on. But this staff is comprised, a majority of the people on this staff are former players who have credibility out the wazoo. They've been there. They've done that. They've experienced it. They've walked the walk. I expect we're going to see the difference between a competent and an a-hole coaching staff operating this year, and what that does to many of the same players and the talent on the field. I expect a surge from a lot of the guys, Riz.
I expect the defense to be much, much better. I expect the guys who hold over to all be better than they were last year, with the possible exception of Flowers, because I think he was a very good fit for what Patricia wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But asking players to be passive, to read and react, when they also lack speed and relative athleticism for the position, that's just asinine. I mean, that's they're gonna do a 30 for 30 someday on how badly Matt Patricia screwed up these players. There is talent on this defense. There is more talent on this defense than there is on this offense right now. I know that's not a popular take, but I absolutely believe that. I think they have their two starting cornerbacks in Amani Oruwariye and Jeff Okudah.
They do.
And I happen to think that both of them are going to be much, much, much better.
Yep.
They have their playmaking safety in Tracy Walker. He wasn't allowed to play that in Matt Patricia's scheme. Did he play that crap? Hell yeah, he did. He was a massive disappointment for me. One of the biggest disappointments for me from the Lions last year. I expect him to be the way he was in 2019 and 2018 when he was one of the promising young safeties in the NFL.
Yep.
I think a guy like Danny Shelton will fit well. Asking him to one gap instead of two gap. I think both Okwaras, and I do expect, now if you're talking about franchise tag, they might use it on Romeo Okwara. I doubt it, that's high price, but I think they have the trump card of, hey, you can play with your brother. How cool is that? You know?
I think they
you
have
already
the money.
live together.
I think they have the money to not give that top dollar, but give close to. And you're right. The home hometown discount with his brother here, the whole thing. And there's a real great story if you're two brothers and with a staff like this and a team like this that could really turn it around. It's a real opportunity. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. But there's again with the cap, there's a million things you can do. There's all kinds of space.
Julian Okwara fits the Trey Hendrickson role in what defense we assume Aaron Glenn is bringing very well as a stand-up guy. Who is told, and Trey Hendrickson had 13.5 sacks last year on 22 total tackles. And guess what he's doing? He's rushing the passer every freaking play. Now, he only played like 58% of their defensive snaps. That's perfect for Julian Okwara.
Yeah.
Go do that. That's great. They've got guys who can handle the roles that they're going to be asked to do. That's why I'm not super keen on overhauling the defense, because I think the guys who there is talent on this defense. They have to get at least one more safety, because I don't think Deron Harmon is back, and I think Will Harris is awful.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any fixing that. So they got to get somebody there. They've got to get a slot corner. They've got to get a juice pass rusher to play next to and outside of Trey Flowers. That's their priority on defense. Their linebackers, I'll tell you right now, if you're playing 4 linebackers, I don't care if you've got 4 Pro Bowlers, your defense is going to be terrible because you've got too many freaking linebackers on the field. Look at the bottom of the defensive rankings last year and the last 2 years. All the teams that played more linebackers more often are awful. Awful, Chris. It's awful. Get the freaking linebackers off the goddamn field. Play 2 linebackers. Play 3 when they go heavy and they bring a fullback in. If you got more than that, you're a fucking idiot.
CBD.DetroitLionsPodcast.com for Riz if you want to give gifts.
God damn, quit playing 4 linebackers. If you're drafting a linebacker in the first round, you're trying to fix Matt Patricia's defense. You're not trying to help Aaron Glenn's defense.
Yes.
Stop with the linebacker crap. Oh my God, stop! I hate it. It drives me up the fucking wall, Chris. Sorry to go off, but it drives me insane. You don't want linebackers on the field!
I haven't had a good res rant in a long time, man. That is awesome.
I'm ready to throw things. I'm ready to dunk. Let's go. Come on, Dan Campbell. Let's hit it. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like when you're biting kneecaps, folks. Right there. Oh man, a lot going on with this team. Yeah, for sure. Lot of improvement happened to this team. That is absolutely great. Aaron had that crap scared out of him. Sorry, man.
Sorry, dude. I get emotional.
I want to talk one thing about Goff that we touched on. before we get into the next piece is about potential free agents. We talked about the what got between McVay and Jared Goff, and it was likely Sean's girlfriend.
Little pipe.
I wouldn't say it's a little pipe.
I wouldn't know.
You guys, I'm telling you right now, man, 110%. Go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com/store. We've got Goff's Plumbing. Here to lay a little pipe. It is the greatest. I'm just here to lay pipe. It is the greatest Goff t-shirt ever made in the history of man. DetroitLionsPodcast.com/store. It's we got t-shirts, men's and women's. Check them out, fitted and for the regular built out ones. We also got MCDC shirts there. Check it out. Great merch. It's fun stuff. But Goff's Plumbing, ready to lay some pipe there with Sean McVay's girl. So
have you seen his girlfriend, by the way?
Yeah. If I wasn't so happily married, I might have said the same thing.
She's pretty healthy.
Hi, honey. That's
my wife's actually right there. She's looking at me like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah, they always know when to come in the room, don't they? So if you don't know, there was a group text that went on, and
she just flipped me off. A smile on her face.
First he's screaming, and then he's talking. Oh boy,
she was wondering. She was actually wondering if I'm mentally okay. She knows, but we've been married for 24 years. She knows I'm not.
Yeah. So we had the text from a group text amongst the players on the Rams, and in that text, Goff sent the text, "I would pipe Sean's girlfriend," and that kind of escaped into the wild. So why not? Goff's Plumbing. He's just here to lay some pipe. There you go. All right. The last thing I want to talk about is potential free agent wide receivers specifically right now, and we've got some time still to talk about some of the other guys. It doesn't hit for another month and a half still, really. Wow.
March 17th is when the league year ends. I think they can start signing. I don't even know the day. I wrote it for Brownswire yesterday too. I should know this.
It's 4 p.m. whatever day it is.
Yeah, I think it's the 22nd, 21st, maybe 21st. I think it is.
Okay,
could be the 20th. I don't know.
It's a month and a half.
Google amongst yourselves.
So we'll talk about different positions. We're going to talk about right now. Look, if things stand the way they are, I'm all in on a wide receiver in the first round for the Lions at number 7. That's just where I am. We'll talk more about that, but we're going to talk about free agency since that's before the draft anyway. And free agency will affect how we pick out the draft. Absolutely. Wide receiver is a great position to talk about. I want to talk about one. This one was in the YouTube comments and from our last podcast. I want to just bring this up because it does make sense in a very, very smart way.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Yes. Wide receiver Josh Reynolds from the Rams has played with Goff. He's 25, 6'3". He's 4'5", 40. He had 600 yards receiving last year. Not going to be super expensive. Gives you some options. What do you think about him in free agency? It's not Allen Robinson, right? I'm starting somewhere down in the kind of the meandery way, but this is a guy that's a little off the beaten path and off the charts. It just might be a quality head for this team.
So he was a middle round pick out of Texas A&M. I remember watching him at Texas A&M. He actually had a couple of good years. In 2019, only caught 21 passes, but did catch it for 15.5 yards per catch. Last year, 52 receptions on 81 targets. 11.9 yards per target, 2 touchdowns. That's modest. I mean, that's okay. Yeah. He is a quality number 2 outside receiver. Is he a difference maker? No, he's not. But he can play. He's the kind of guy that you get. We'll look at Buffalo for a second. He's the kind of guy that they need to play opposite Stephon Diggs. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of. If you're Washington, you're looking for that guy opposite Terry McLaurin. He can be that guy. If he's your best receiver, your offense is going to suck. But you're not signing him to be your best receiver. You're not going to have to pay him to be your best receiver. This is a quality guy. He's young. He's a long strider. He's not the best at getting open. Mm-hmm. That should be familiar for Lions fans. But He's a capable starting wide receiver. I ideally like him as a number 3 outside wide receiver, but when your cupboard's bare, you got to go with what you got.
Let me just say with the team we got now, okay? He is a replacement for Kenny Golladay if you get yourself a number one wide receiver in the draft or in free agency. Again,
if you also sign a guy like Allen Robinson, or if you draft Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, those are your three leading candidates.
And I'm not going to say he would necessarily beat Galladay, but at the price, he will absolutely beat Galladay at the price.
Would you rather have Josh Reynolds on a 3-year, $18 million deal, or would you rather have Kenny Galladay doing better but paying triple that?
Right. It's one of those. It's one of those. And look, again, you go to a guy like I'm really getting higher and higher on Godwin as an opportunity in free agency, and of course Allen Robinson. Right. You sign one of those two guys. You draft a wide receiver, and you don't even need Galladay anymore. A guy like Reynolds is absolutely perfect, and it fits in the whole money situation along the way. I know you guys love Galladay. I know you do, but he's third from the bottom of the league in advanced stats and separation. He makes great catches because he has to, because he doesn't get separation, because he can't get away. He's not fast enough. He's a fun guy to watch. And let's not forget that he's oft injured instead of injured all the time. He's injured quite a freaking bit. And lastly, for those that weren't here earlier, inside word, he gave up on the team this year. So that's the knocks on Galladay.
We can't verify that, but that has been it's Kramer. It's out there.
It's in there. It's in the building.
Yeah. So, and remember, this is a guy who turned down a very significant offer to stay in Detroit with a regime that was more amenable to paying him than the one you've got now. Yeah. So I would not expect Kenny Galladay to be back. And we covered it earlier, but if you're just tuning in, they're not going to franchise tag him. If they do, I'll eat some blueberries, which I freaking hate. God, that's going to be awful. I really hate blueberries, Chris.
I know you do. We'll send you maybe some of those trash can beans that we were eating at the St. Jude fundraiser.
That's better than a blueberry.
Oh, I don't know.
Trust me.
The sour milk almost had me. All right, I know you had some wide receivers a little bit off the beaten path you wanted to talk about.
So there's a lot of wide receivers this year that are not top tier. There's a couple that I like. Keelan Cole from the Jacksonville Jaguars. A guy who has played with a variety of quarterbacks of various levels of suck and has acquitted himself pretty nicely. He's a guy who can be a good number 2 outside receiver. In Jacksonville, he was a number 1 after Allen Robinson left. Mm-hmm. That was asking a little bit too much of him. This is a guy who can play, though, and again, is not going to break the bank. This is a guy that you signed for 2 years and $11.5 million. That's a perfectly fine starting rate for a wide receiver like him. Kendrick Bourne from the 49ers. Good receiver. He has some injury problems, so that's actually going to drive his price down. A guy that I'm interested in. And I posted a whole list at Lions Wire this morning. I didn't really go into detail on him, but there's one. I'll give you a guy that I'm familiar with, and I'm not crazy about him in Detroit, but Rashard Higgins from the Cleveland Browns is another guy in the same ilk as a Josh Reynolds, as a guy who can be your number 2 outside wide receiver if you have a good number 1, but is probably better as your number 3 outside wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Hollywood can do that. He is great in the red zone. That's his calling card, and he's also a little bit flamboyant. That's why he's called Hollywood. They roll out the red carpet for him. Really good locker room guy too. So I think fans would like him a lot. They certainly do in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. You go up a tier. You're looking at a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster, who has played very, very well at times, but has also been in Mike Tomlin's doghouse. And I don't know if I've said this on this podcast before. I freaking love Mike Tomlin. If he could coach my football team, get it done. I love Mike Tomlin to death as a coach. I think he's a wonderful coach. Getting on his bad side tends to get on my bad side if you're a player. If you're not going to handle that, I'm not sure that I want you on my team. But he's a good receiver. He would work well. I think he's probably going to get a little bit overpaid, as will Galladay. And I think the expectations for the paycheck will be a problem for him, as I also think they will be with Kenny Galladay when he goes to Detroit or to Chicago or Minnesota, because I absolutely think he wants to stay in the NFC North and stick it to the Lions, because he really didn't like Matt Patricia, and he might do very well. Who knows? Yeah. I'm not going to root against him. I kind of like the guy. I liked him at Northern Illinois, where he played with with a backup linebacker as his quarterback for half of his senior year.
What did he have?
The guy's been through a lot. It's a great story that he is where he is.
He had 3 or 4 different quarterbacks his senior year. Yep, it's crazy.
Had 9 different guys throw him passes in his final 3 years at Northern Illinois. And one of them was a running back, but still,
it's probably good to say that there's no hate for Kenny Galladay.
He's done a very good job of making himself into a good starting NFL wide receiver.
Yep.
And he's a Bob Quinn draft hit.
Yep,
absolutely.
Yep, he's just a wide receiver too.
Outplayed expectations, and that's to be commended.
He's a heck of a wide receiver too. Heck of it.
Yep.
All right.
But don't pay him to be a wide receiver 1 if he's a wide receiver 2. If you want fun with that, go to the Browns. Go to the Browns Wire comments right now.
Yeah.
And read about Jarvis Landry. Go follow Pete Smith on Twitter.
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry is a great number 2 wide receiver, better than Kenny Galladay, getting paid $14.5 million, and a lot of Browns fans hate him because he's not better than what he is. And he's going to get paid less than what Galladay did.
Yep.
And by the way, the Browns have a pretty damn good team.
Yeah, they do. All right, there is actually some breaking news that I'm going to hit really quick. I just want to say Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com, Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com, and Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Any shopping at Amazon, if you're going to do it, just do it there. Just use that thing. It'll take you right to Amazon. There's no funny stuff. It just throws a cookie and tells them that we sent you there, and they give us a little kickback. And same thing with Fanatics. Any Lions gear, Red Wings gear, Pistons gear, any team, college or pro, if you have any gear, memorabilia, or whatever you're looking at, it's the same stuff that's for sale in the Lions store and the NFL store. It's all fulfilled by Fanatics. Go to Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com and help support the show. Thank you for everybody who does that. All right, the breaking news right now. Projected number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence. You may have heard of him. He will throw for NFL teams on February 12th instead of participating in Clemson's Pro Day next month.
That's for today.
Yep. Per his reps at MGC Sports. After that, Lawrence will undergo left labrum shoulder repair. Doctors confident he will be recovered for camp. Well, there's a couple
left
pieces.
Shoulder.
Yeah.
Non-throwing shoulder.
Yep.
That means he's out 4 months.
Yep. Interesting couple pieces of information. So he's going to go work out, then go get surgery, and then you can think about he won't be working out again until he's in camp and drafted.
He might miss the beginning of camp with that kind of a surgery.
Yeah.
He will certainly have the non-contact jersey on and probably won't play in a preseason. By the way, don't expect a preseason. J.C. Treader, the NFLPA president, is lobbying very hard that the quality of football this year was great enough without preseason that they don't need it anymore, and that's probably going to pass. So, be forewarned on that.
A couple games. You know what I mean?
I want 2 games. I want to see rookies play, especially for the Lions with a team you've got all new people coming in.
They need that. Players need that.
Yeah, they absolutely need
that.
The
quality of football was okay, but I think what happened this year, the NFL is a parity league, lost a lot of that parity. The gap started to really show itself between the good and the great because the good didn't get a chance to really hone themselves in. It really made for some lopsided football. What's so funny, Riz?
So I am looking at my a different Slack that I'm involved in professionally. Let's just say don't ever listen to Dan Cilio or Evan Massey.
Yeah.
Because we've been given very strict instructions to never give them any oxygen.
Yeah.
So
yeah. He's pretty Cilio and not very honest or real. It's like thinking you saw a Sala cake, isn't it? Anybody remember the guy with the cake? The cake? Yeah, the cake guy. The cake was a lie.
And Teddy Bruschi can go suck limes together.
Yeah.
How do you say that Matthew Stafford isn't tough? Did you ever watch him once, dude?
No.
Really?
No.
Really?
I feel like Teddy Bruschi is one of those linebackers that Stafford could truck and would truck just because of that.
Stafford had his faults, but toughness, that's
Yeah, that's the wrong thing.
One of them.
That's the wrong thing to go after.
You're barking up the wrong. Like I love that Packers fans got on him about it too. They're like, we don't like Stafford, but dude's nails, man.
Yeah, for real.
I love that.
And
so props to Packers fans that did that.
They are absolutely nervous about seeing Stafford in the playoffs next year in the divisional championship. I guarantee it. In Green Bay, they are terrified.
And they should be,
and
because if he works, that's a really good football team in Los Angeles. And so, do we have to have ground rules for like rooting for that? Like if the Lions are 5-11 and out of it, Are we going to root for Matthew Stafford and the Rams in the playoffs? Because I assume they're going to win the NFC West next year.
Yeah. I've always been a Michigan fan.
Or will you be like, why couldn't you have done that in Detroit?
No.
I know. 970.1 fans are going to be that way.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you. For me, I was a Lions fan before Matthew Stafford was ever here. I'm going to be a Lions fan far beyond when everyone on this roster is gone. But I love Matthew Stafford, and if he's not playing, we play him once next year. I hope he wins 15 games. If he winds up in the playoffs and we're not, and we don't face him, I would love to see him win. He's easy to root for. It's like Tom Brady, as I was alluding to earlier. I like Tom Brady a lot. I don't ever want him to beat the Lions. Lions first, 100%. But then I can watch other guys win and have fun. This Super Bowl for me is going to be a lot of fun this year. I love Patrick Mahomes. I love him. He's such a great quarterback. And then Tom Brady on the other side.
With him.
That's
my guy, man.
That's all you share. But it's just going to be fun. I don't really have a dog in the fight. I just want to see some good football and a fun game. This is going to be a great
Who do you got winning?
I got the Chiefs winning, but I kind of am leaning towards wanting the Bucs to win just because it's local for me. And after watching the Bolts win and all that, it's kind of it really invigorates the town. So
yeah,
there you go.
I got the Chiefs by a touchdown. I think Tyrann Mathieu makes a big play. I think he gets either a pick six or a big play off of Brady.
Whatever happens,
he's a special dude.
Whatever happens, I want Godwin to walk away mad and willing to take a Lions contract.
And come to Detroit. Chris Godwin to Detroit would be very nice, and also more affordable than Kenny Golladay.
Oh, Godwin. Yeah, that's right. There you go.
Ignore the 4 drop game that he had in the playoffs, because that was
anomaly.
Dude, that was rough, man. That was Mario Manningham versus Ohio State back in the day. Michigan fans know what I'm talking about.
Oh, Mario Manningham. Woo. All right, there you go.
How do you drop 6 passes in a row?
I could do it. Chris? If Matthew Stafford were to throw them at me, I would be dodging them, not just dropping them.
You just dial it into your face.
Man. Oh my God, those balls! I mean, remember when Brad Kaya or even Kellen Moore was out there in training camp, and you would watch them throw the ball at the same time, right? They would release the ball at the same time. The ball would be back in Stafford's hands before Kaya's or Moore's landed from the arc of the pass that they threw.
It was truly a treat to watch the physical act of Matthew Stafford throwing the football. It really was. We got blessed by that, and we're gonna miss that because that's not Jared Goff's game.
It was. You'd be in the sideline. And
it was really cool.
You hear that ball on the sideline when Stafford would throw it, man, and it was almost scary. The wind and whistle of that thing flying by. It's like listening to artillery coming in.
Remember the joint practices when the Giants were in town and watching Eli Manning throw and then watch Matthew Stafford throw?
Yep.
It was like you were watching different sports. It was insane.
Manning shows up with shin guards.
I remember Jordan Raanan, who's a good guy, was watching. He's like, oh, that's why y'all like him. Okay, I see it now.
There you go. All right. With that, we're going to call it a show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys being here. We're doing this weekly, and we've got some vlogs, great vlog content coming. Riz, myself, Ash, Case is talking about doing. We got Sandman coming in with some vlog content too. Great stuff. Make sure you tune in. Also, don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. You get access to the smartest chat on the internet. It just happens to be Lions related mainly, but we've got gambling, we've got stocks, we've got the whole ball of wax, barbecue, beer,
we got
anything you can think of. We've got different channels for all that. It is literally highly engaging and the smartest, most intelligent Lions chat on the internet anywhere. Check it out. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast will get you access to that chat. Go in there and donate as little as $1 a month, and you'll have access. Show up in your inbox. Also, give us a like on Facebook, Instagram, those places, and on the Twitter machine at DET Lions Podcast. DET Lions Podcast. You can see Riz's pantsless body at jeffrisden.com. No better way to see him. And subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Hit that like button on your way out, please. We appreciate it. And subscribe and the bell and all those things. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, we're on all those things. All that. Thank you so much. We're going to check you out. I got to find it. I scrolled past it. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, because we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection.